I want to talk a little bit about teaching children how to handle and approach dogs and be around dogs. It's very important from day one to teach children to respect dogs. They have sharp teeth, they can be afraid of them, and also just for ethical reasons, we want to be fair to the dogs and not stress them out. Children can get very scary very quickly for dogs, and if they're not used to dogs, they can really get frightened of them if they're not used to children, I mean, they can get quite frightened of them quite quickly. And often children are overstimulating for dogs. So adult supervision, of course, is always necessary. But to teach your child how to approach a known friendly dog or your dog that you know is good with children and is comfortable with children. You don't want to use your child as the guinea pig for the dog to see if the dog is okay with children. I would suggest explaining to your children, I always like to give the dog a way to get away from the children. So make sure that they're not cornering them and they know not to bother them when they're sleeping or resting. And if you do have to wake them up or bother them when they're resting, call them to you. Don't ever let your children approach a dog that has something like a toy or a chewy or something. That may be something where the dog feels like he has to guard it. So just instruct them, if the dog has something, leave them alone. If the dog's in the crate, the children have to be taught to leave them alone, or if they're tied or behind a fence or in a car. Those are all places where it's more likely the dog is going to bite because they're kind of confined and may not feel safe, and that may be a little scary to have a child approaching. But if you're going to have children handling dogs, or your dog even, explain the best way to approach in dog language is sideways. Going like this or looking down at the dog or reaching could be quite scary for the dog. In dog language, that's very threatening. So I tell them to approach sideways and let the dog come to them if they want to, if it's a friendly dog, and ask them to put their hand backwards. So not palm out, backside of the hand, and pet along the side of the dog. That may be a good thing to do. This is more friendly for a dog. Dogs do not like anything coming over. This is very threatening. Make sure that there's no hands, that's teasing. You could get aggression out of that. It just could be very stressful for the dog. So make sure there's no hands going up and down and going at the dog and talking at the dog in excited ways. Stress the importance of being quiet and calm around animals in general. This is true for many different kinds of animals. And again, pet on the side with the back of the hand. If the dog starts to turn away or starts to stiffen or you see whites of the eyes, remove your child. That means the dog is stressed by this and you don't want to have the dog in that situation. And again, we want to have the dog be able to leave. If the dog leaves, you should teach the child, that's enough. We don't want to follow the dog. So really we should teach them to really respect dogs because again, they have sharp teeth. They're normally very gentle as a whole and they put up with a lot of stuff from us humans, but I wouldn't take any chances. And children get bit more than adults do. Partially because they can be unpredictable, they're a little smaller, they move differently, they sound differently, a little bit less predictable. So turn to the side and pet with the back of the hand. There we go. And parent may need to be there if the dog is not trained yet, and have the leash and be able to remove the dog if the dog gets too excited. And that's a good idea. We want calm things around the dog and animals in general. One child at a time. Should never be more than one. When I grew up, we were taught how to respect animals. I think we're losing some of that. With all the media and things, dogs aren't toys, they're not purses. They all can bite, and most can bite through metal, so they have a very strong bite. So they should be treated with respect. If the children shouldn't have anything in their hands, like a toy or something like that, you want to watch anything that's like teasing. They shouldn't take anything away. So they should learn how to do that with all dogs. Even if your dog is really tolerant, I would teach your dog how to do that for your dog, to respect your dog and to be kind and fair to your dog. But also because when your child is at the neighbor's house, that dog could bite if your child is used to doing all kinds of things that are uncomfortable for dogs, which is very possible. So this is our fake dogs. Charlie didn't want to volunteer for this today. So we do the back of the hand. If you've ever been with horses, they tell you to feed with the flat of the hand. So think of the back of the hand for a dog and the side. And a lot of times dogs like to be next to you. That's a dog hug. Not every dog will want to do that. Some dogs like more personal space. And if they want to move away, let them. But some will come up. Some will put their tushy up against you and want to be scratched here. So that kind of varies. We need to watch them and see how it is they like to be handled and not jump in and do things that may be uncomfortable. Dogs find kissing, hugging, anything holding and trapping can be very threatening, very damaging, and can lead to serious aggression or just fear. And it's not safe, and it's also it's a parent's responsibility to make sure that doesn't happen, and to teach their children from day one. The earlier you start this, the better, and to be gentle when we touch them, to touch them softly. A lot of hysterical movement is going to get the dogs overexcited, and then you're going to get jumping up towards the face, and that's going to be a little scary. And anybody coming in like this is going to get a lot of attention towards the face. So we're just going to go to the side and see what the dog likes. Okay, that'll give you some place to start with your children. Thank you.